Hi, I'm Gail Zuckerman, and this is Growing Older with Gusto. Each episode, I interview people who are growing older in an inspiring way. Whether you're 30, 60, or 80 years of age, these interviews will help to conquer your fear of aging. Please subscribe to our channel and check out our website at www.growingolderwithgusto.com. Sugar, so many associations with that word. Today, it's the topic of our podcast on Growing Older with Gusto. Hello, fellow superagers, and welcome to Growing Older with Gusto. I'm Gail Zuckerman, the host of the podcast, which was created to bring out different aspects of growing older in a positive, productive way, whether you're 30 or 60 years old. And today we have a really interesting guest on the show. Her name is Theresa Nicole. She's based in Pittsburgh, and she's founder of Pure Healthy Body and a registered nutritionist and dietitian. And the subject of the show today is sugar. So it's a word we all have so many different associations with. And I've read a lot about it. I know that if we indulge along the way as we're younger, as we grow older, there's a lot of long-term consequences like dementia, diabetes, stroke, just to mention a few. So our guest did a 360 in her life and her addiction to sugar. And she's going to talk about her journey today and give us some tips on how to curb our enthusiasm when it comes to sugar. So much to talk about. So let's start the conversation. Welcome, Theresa, to Growing Older with Gusto.
Thank you, Gail, for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
We're excited to have you. And this is a subject that I think almost everybody can relate to. I know I can, and I know a lot of people I know can. So tell us today, you're the queen of this sugar story, and I know you have a great story for us. Tell us how your interest in sugar began.
Yeah, so I've been studying nutrition now for over a decade. And even though I've always had a knack for nutrition, my diet was nowhere near perfect. And when I was in my early college years, my health took a downward spiral. I was addicted to sugar and sweets. And by age 23, I was diagnosed with a chronic illness. And I remember sitting at my desk in my college apartment, feeling like my life was over because I was in so much pain. And I knew that I couldn't continue to live like this. I was seeing a lot of different doctors, and I just felt like I wasn't getting the answers I needed to get better. And so I decided to just eat, breathe, and live nutrition. And I completely changed my diet and lifestyle habits, and I started getting better. And today I've completely reversed my chronic illness. And
That's
I'm
fabulous.
confident to say that I
Congratulations.
restored my body with food and nutrition. Thank you. So yeah.
What's your program? I understand the impetus behind starting this program. What is it exactly that you did?
Yeah. So I was struggling with a lot of health challenges. And so I knew I needed to get off sugar completely to where I was no longer eating it regularly and no longer craving it, because sugar has serious side effects on the body. And one of my least favorite things actually about sugar is that it promotes aging. It actually causes our collagen and our elastin proteins to malform and stiffen, which can lead to fine lines, wrinkles, and sagging skin. So there's just a lot of issues with sugar, like you mentioned in the beginning. And so I knew I needed to get off these sugary sweets if I wanted to improve my health and get better. So one of the things that I started doing is I started replacing the sugary sweets with fruit. So every time I would crave something sweet, I would just grab a piece of fruit instead, because fruit is a really good source of vitamins and minerals, which is what we need for our body to function optimally. It's a really good source of fiber, which is going to help keep us full longer. And it also has a high water content, which is really good for hydration. And so I got in the habit of doing this. And I also found other alternative sugar substitutes that are a little bit better than table sugar or refined industrial sugar.
What are some of those?
Yeah. So I started doing things like raw honey, coconut sugar, maple syrup, dates, bananas, and unsweetened applesauce. And I would just add those to my recipes if I wanted to make something sweet. And I still actually use these things to this day. I do use coconut sugar a lot. Coconut sugar and maple syrup are actually lower in the glycemic index than table sugar. So they're not going to spike your blood sugar as much as refined sugar would. They
Can
also,
you tell some of our listeners who might not be familiar with the glycemic level, what that is exactly?
yeah, so when we eat foods, it will trigger our blood glucose to rise a little bit, which is totally normal. And then it helps trigger insulin to be released, which is going to bring the glucose into your cells for energy. And certain foods, like things with refined sugar, so candies, anything that would be low in fiber and very high in sugar, like a sugary cereal, for example, is going to have a higher glycemic index, which means it's going to spike your blood glucose higher than if you were to eat something with fruit, which has fiber. So it's going to help keep your blood sugar a little more stable when you eat something with fiber, even though it also has the sweetness in it, the fructose. It's not going to spike your blood sugar as much because it's going to be lower on the glycemic index.
I was taking a cooking class and I overheard somebody in the class say she was diabetic and that she only drinks almond milk because it's lower on the glycemic scale or whatever. And I thought, oh, I'm going to try that. I'm not diabetic, but I don't want to be. So, and I really liked it. And I was just wondering, I know they talk a lot about hidden sugars in foods. So you can try so hard to just say, I'm not going to eat a brownie or a cookie or ice cream. But what are some of the other foods that we need to be aware of that have hidden sugars that we may not be aware of?
Yeah, so there are a lot of foods out there that have hidden sugars in them that people might not even realize. For example, granola bars or protein bars. And these are snacks that people might bring with them to work each day. Maybe they don't have time to grab lunch, so they have their protein bar with them. But sugar might be one of the first ingredients in that granola bar. Another food that we might not even realize has sugar on it is bread. A lot of breads that you buy at the store actually have high fructose corn syrup in them, and most people would never even think that. Mm-hmm. Another thing would be, and then another food that has hidden sugar in it is cereal. I think sometimes people, think, oh, I'm buying this high fiber, high protein cereal. That's what it says on the box. But then you look at the ingredients and sugar is like the second or third ingredient, which means it's going to have a high amount of sugar in it.
So the takeaway, I guess, is when you're shopping, look at the ingredients, make sure sugar isn't number one in the lineup of ingredients, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you always want to read the label of any packaged food, anything in a box or a bag. You want to see what the ingredients are before you buy it.
So I have a question. How do you incentivize yourself to stay on track? Because I mean, it's, all well and good to have this knowledge of what sugars do in your body. But as we all know, in reality, sometimes it's just really hard to stay on track. So how do you do that?
Yeah, it can really be hard to stay on track. So the number one thing that I always do, and when I tell my clients, is to just stop buying the food in the first place and don't bring it into your home. If it's not in your kitchen and not in your pantry, you're much less likely to eat it than if it is there. Yep. So I know for me, there were times where those cravings were so strong, those sugary, sweet cravings were so strong. And sometimes I would go out of my way to go get it. I would just go to the grocery store, even if I didn't have it in my pantry, and I would just go get it in that moment because I felt like I needed it so badly. But honestly, it's rare that people will go to their way to do that. So if you just don't buy it and don't bring it in your home in the first place, that's a huge way to avoid those foods. And then also, once you choose whatever bad habit you want to change into a good habit. So for me, it was switching my sugary sweet foods to a piece of fruit every time I had that sweet tooth craving. And so I just got in the habit of doing this. And when you stick to something for 3 weeks straight, this is the number most quoted by experts to create a long-lasting healthy habit. You stick to it for those magic 21 days, and eventually it will become a habit to where you don't even think about it anymore. You just automatically do it. So that's what I would always do. I would tell myself, this goal that you have, you only have to do it for 3 weeks and then it'll become a habit, instead of telling yourself, I'm going to have to do this for the rest of my life, because that can be super intimidating and overwhelming and make us maybe not want to follow through with that healthy habit if we know it's going to be tough to do. So just telling myself 3 weeks and that's it, and it turns into a habit.
How about popcorn? Is that a good replacement?
Yeah, so I love popcorn actually. That was my other favorite food in college was popcorn because popcorn is actually a low calorie snack. It's also a whole grain. I make my own popcorn now in a popcorn maker, and I use really healthy oils to make the popcorn to make it even more healthy. So I use coconut oil, which is a really good source of those medium chain triglycerides, which is really good for brain health and heart health. And then I also will use ghee, which is clarified butter. So it's really good for people who might have a sensitivity to cow's milk and for whatever reason can't tolerate butter, maybe because of the lactose or the casein protein in the butter. So I'll use ghee, and then I'll buy the organic popcorn kernels. And that's an easy snack, and it's super healthy, nutritious.
Oh, good to know. I love popcorn. So let's talk about health in your gut. How are our guts and brains connected? I know that you like to talk about that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so another thing that I did when I was trying to get off these sugary sweets is I knew that I needed to improve my gut health because there's this thing called the gut-brain connection, which means that our gut health affects our brain health. And when we have bad microbes in our gut, that will actually drive us to want to eat more refined carbohydrates and have more cravings for sugary sweets because these bad bacteria actually feed on sugar. And so I knew that I needed to improve my gut health. So I started taking a probiotic every morning because probiotics actually help colonize your gut with the healthy, good bacteria and help get rid of the bad bacteria. And this will help you balance out your microbiome so that these cravings for sweet foods diminish. And so, yeah, working on gut health is super important for curbing those junk food cravings and those sugary sweet cravings.
Let's talk a little bit about breakfast, which is one of my favorite meals, actually. Tell us how important breakfast is to us and what we should really be eating to have a healthy breakfast and a good start to the day.
Yeah, so breakfast is so good for jumpstarting our metabolism, and it really helps you not to overeat later in the day. I think a lot of times when we skip breakfast, we are starving by lunchtime, which means we're more likely to overeat. And so you have to remember that you're fasting all night long, and so you want to break the fast with breakfast. And it's just going to help you make healthier choices throughout the day. Breakfast will also help promote weight loss. There has been studies done, for example, on the National Weight Control Registry, where they have a log of men and women who have lost anywhere between 30 and 300 pounds and have kept it off for at least 5.5 years. And an interesting characteristic about this group of people is that 78% of them eat breakfast every single day. And breakfast has also been shown to improve cognition, including memory and alertness, concentration, and mood. And I feel like as we get older, a lot of people may become concerned about memory loss. And so it's good to know that eating breakfast every day has been shown to help us stay sharper mentally.
I wasn't going to bring this up, but it just crossed my mind. What are your thoughts about this intermittent fasting that people talk about today? Is that just a fad, or because I know they tell you not to eat anything till noon or something.
Yeah, so intermittent fasting is a type of time restricted eating. So you're basically eating all your meals within a certain period of time. So you could say, I'm going to eat my breakfast, lunch, and dinner and all my snacks between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. And so you're eating all your food within this 6-hour window. Or sometimes people will say, well, I'm going to eat all my meals between noon and 8 p.m. And so when you do that, you're fasting from 8 p.m. until 12 noon the next day. So you're doing, I guess that would be maybe a 15-hour fast. And if you do that, it kind of gives your body a break from digesting. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really good for also cell rejuvenation. It's been shown. And it's also been shown to be really good for weight loss because we're not eating as much as we normally would when we're fasting. I can tell you during the lockdown, I started intermittent fasting every day because I knew that I wasn't doing my regular fitness routine anymore because we weren't able to go to the gym during the shutdown. And so I started fasting every day, and I would literally eat all my meals within a 6-hour window, and I would fast for like 19 hours a day. And I felt so good. Every single morning when I woke up, I had so much more energy. I felt like my skin was clear. I just felt so much better. So I personally love intermittent fasting. It's awesome. The only thing I will tell you that's really challenging about it is that those hunger pangs that you get whenever you haven't eaten in a while never go away. You never really get used to not eating for a long period of time. And so that's the hard part is.
But then again, you're not eating breakfast when you get up, right?
Yeah. So if you're doing your fasting through breakfast, then you wouldn't be eating breakfast. Yeah. You would be eating your first meal of the day later in the day, like 12 or 1 or 2. And I feel
it sounds like starvation to me.
I know. Well, it is. It's hard to do. It is so hard to do.
I think I'd rather get up and eat a healthy breakfast myself. But
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So if somebody was listening to this podcast and they were addicted to sugar, what could you tell them about creating a lifestyle plan to help them kick the habit? What would you say to them?
Yeah. So what I would say to them is that it's all about baby steps and just doing one thing at a time when it comes to creating long-lasting healthy habits. I think people can get overwhelmed with all the nutrition and diet information out there. And they think, well, if I have to do all those things, that is so much work. And so I'm not going to be able to do any of them. And so they just give up and they don't make any changes. But if you just do one thing at a time and you tell yourself, I only have to do this one thing for 3 weeks to make it a habit, then it helps you make those long-lasting habits. Like, for example, this month you could say, I'm going to eliminate soda and I'm going to start drinking more water instead of soda. And you get in the habit of doing this to the point where it becomes a habit. And then the next month you say, I'm going to start shopping at a store that has more organic food than my normal store. And so you get in the habit of going to this new grocery store regularly. And then the month after that, you decide, I'm going to start taking a walk 1 or 2 days a week to get some exercise. And you're just doing one thing at a time and you're making these very small changes. And that's how you create lifelong healthy habits. And then eventually you don't even have to think about doing them anymore because these healthy habits will just be how you live your life.
Great. Okay. Give me 3 tips, Theresa, for eating with really good intentions and in a way that will not prompt anyone to overeat. Just 3 tips.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to give you my top 3 tips for mindful eating, because a lot of us will eat while we're doing other things. Maybe we're eating while watching TV or texting or reading a book or even eating while we're driving. And so, but when we eat mindfully, it helps us to be more satisfied and helps us to not overeat. So my top 3 tips, the first one is to take smaller bites, eat more slowly, and just really think about chewing your food so that your body has an easier time digesting it. I can tell you when I started slowing down my meals and making it a habit to really chew my food, I noticed that I was eating less and I needed less food to feel satisfied. Also, cooking at home is another great tip. I personally used to order takeout all the time because I really believed that restaurant food was going to taste better than any food that I could ever prepare at home. But now that I make delicious, healthy, organic meals that are tailor-made to my diet plan, I actually dread going out to eat because I know I'm going to feel better and have more energy if I eat one of my home-cooked meals. And it also makes you appreciate your food so much more whenever you cook it. Mm-hmm. And then the number one best way that I found for mindful eating to avoid overeating is to just eliminate all distractions. So now when I have a meal, I will put my phone on silent. And of course, keeping the TV off is important too, so you can just focus on your food and that's it. And those are my top 3 tips for mindful eating. And I would say if anyone listening right now is interested in trying a mindful eating exercise, I would suggest just choosing a meal that you would normally eat alone and trying this exercise where you eliminate all distractions, you turn your phone on silent, you turn the TV off, and see what a difference it makes in the way you eat that food and your relationship with food and your emotions.
I'm sure that's all true because I know I've heard that restaurants play fast music so people eat faster, so they get out of the restaurant and there's more turnover. So that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, that's so true. I know. And who really wants to be trying to like rush through their meal when they're at a nice restaurant? You know, I feel like in a restaurant, you want to just enjoy the dining experience.
Exactly.
Really focus on your food. Yeah.
So how would you tell somebody to follow a healthy eating plan without having to give up or make a sacrifice? Is there a secret to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say that, you know, as we get older, our taste buds decrease by more than 60%.
I know. It's a mean trick.
It really is, because then this food starts to taste more bland. And I've noticed with older adults that they usually will have more of a sweet tooth, and they'll start craving these sweets as they get older, and they find themselves snacking on candy than maybe they used to. And so I don't think that you should ever tell yourself, okay, I can never eat this food ever again. This isn't part of my diet plan. I'm restricting this for the rest of my life, because that will set you up to fail every single time, because restrictive eating leads to overeating.
Right.
So
or depriving yourself. Right.
Absolutely. So the key is to have your favorite foods, but as a conscious indulgence. So I think planning it out, and that way it'll help you feel more satisfied when you do indulge, and it'll help you remove the feeling of guilt. So what I say is the 80-20 rule, which I feel like a lot of people have heard of this. But so 80% of the time you're eating healthy, nutritious food, and you're eating your home cooked meals that you're planning every week. But then about twice a week, you're indulging consciously. So maybe on Friday, you know, you're going to be joining your friends for happy hour, and you're going to be indulging in some drinks or some appetizers that are fried and cheesy. And then on Sunday, you're going to be indulging in your mom's rich dessert that she has after dinner. And so you having these planned indulgences about 2 times a week or 20% of the time. And this way, you're not restricting your meals and your favorite foods altogether. You're still allowing yourself to have them, but in a conscious manner, and you're planning it out. And so that's what I always tell my clients. Never give up your favorite foods. You can still have them, but as a conscious indulgence.
Well, thank you. You've given us so much to think about and to act on. I'm out of questions. Do you have anything else you want to comment on the subject of sugar?
Yeah, so I will say that one other thing that helped me reduce my sugar intake was actually buying and eating more organic food. Because this has been shown to actually improve our gut health when we eat more organic food. Because pesticides and herbicides that are found in non-organic and conventionally produced food can actually damage our gut microbiome and kill off those healthy bacteria that we need for digestion and immune health. And they can actually damage the lining of the gastrointestinal tract as well, and increase gut permeability. So that was something else I did to improve my gut health, to cut back on the sugar cravings, was just buying and eating more organic food.
Sounds great. And you look great. You look very healthy. So you obviously, what you're talking about is definitely working. So Theresa, it's been wonderful having you on the show today. And I know you mentioned to me that you have an online nutrition course, and we'd like to tell our listeners how they could sign up for that, first of all, and then how to reach you in general.
Yeah, so I have an online nutrition course called Detox for Weight Loss, and it's for people who are looking to lose weight or may have been struggling with their weight in the past, or it's for anyone who just wants to learn more about nutrition and healthy living and ways to improve your diet and lifestyle habits. So in the course, you will learn which foods to avoid and which foods to eat. You will learn how to eat the right portion sizes, tailor-made to your body. You'll learn the best restaurants to choose when dining out and what to order on the menu. I also talk about the best supplements to support weight loss and teach you how to meal plan in the course, and so much more to improve your diet and lifestyle habits. There are video lessons for each topic. There are PDF guides and handouts that you can download and print out if necessary. And there's also a recipes ebook with delicious, healthy recipes. And so I would love anyone listening right now to check out my online course. All you need to do is go to my website, which is missnutrition.com, and then click on courses in the upper right-hand corner of the page, and that will take you straight to the course. And I'm actually giving everyone listening right now a huge discount on the price.
Wow, that's great.
And you can also watch the first 10 minutes for free.
Super. Sounds terrific. And now if somebody just wants to get in touch with you, just to send an email or whatever, where should they go?
Yeah, so I would go to my website, which is Miss Nutrition, so MISS nutrition.com. And then you can contact me through my contact page, or you can click on my Instagram and contact me through Instagram.
Great. Sounds wonderful. And thank you again. And we'll be talking to you some more, I'm sure. Good luck with your course.
Thank you so much, Gail. It's wonderful chatting with you today.
Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and check out our website at www.growingolderwithgusto.com.